Hello students, I am Varsha Gaikwad. Today we will study what is OSI model in computer network. As you are a student of web designing course, I think OSI model is very important topic and you must know what is OSI model. So let's start with the definition of OSI. OSI stands for Open Systems Interconnection. It is a reference model that describes how information from a software application in one computer moves through a physical medium to the software application in another computer. So let me tell you in simple definition. OSI model defines how data is transferred from one computer to another computer in a computer network. I hope you understand now. OSI consists of 7 layers and each layer performs a particular network function. OSI model developed by the International Organization of Standardization, that is ISO, in the year 1984. Now suppose two devices are connected in a network. The devices are connected through cable, okay, and they use RJ45 connector. So these devices are connected in a network. Now if one computer wants to communicate with the other computer, but operating system of both the computers are different, like one computer is having Microsoft operating system and the other computer is having some different operating system. So in that case, how they will communicate? So for that purpose, OSI model is followed, which is a standardized open system interconnection. OSI model in computer network. 7 layers of the OSI model. There are 7 layers in the OSI model. So physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport, session, presentation and application. We will see one by one each layer. So physical layer. It is the lowest layer of the OSI reference model. It is responsible for the actual physical connection between the devices. So, devices are connected physically. That means they must be connected through cables. The physical layer contains information in the form of bits. Bits, that is 0 or 1. It is responsible for transmitting individual bits from one node to the next. What is node? Node is nothing but the host or a computer. When receiving data, this layer will get the signal received and convert it into zeros and ones. That means the layer receives the electrical signal and it converts it to the zeros and ones and send them to the data link layer, which will put the frame back together. Okay, so at physical layer, data is transmitted in the form of bits, and when it is received at the second layer, that is data link layer, it is converted to frames. I hope you understand. What are the devices that are used at physical layer? The devices are hub, repeater, modem, cables are physical layer devices. So the lower 3 layers, that is physical layer, data link layer and network layer, are also known as lower layers or hardware layers. Okay, why hardware layers? Because all the hardware and physical connection is done in these 3 layers. Like I have already told you, hub, repeater, modem, cables, these are all the hardware devices, all the physical devices. Next is data link layer. The data link layer is responsible for the node-to-node delivery of the message. Okay, so data link layer is responsible for the data to be transferred from one node or host to the other node or host. The main function of this layer is to make sure data transfer is error free from one node to another over the physical layer. Okay, so this layer ensures that there should not be any error while the data is transferred from one node to another node. When packet arrives in a network, it is the responsibility of DLL to transmit it to the host using its MAC address. Okay, so data link layer have two sublayers, that is logical link control and media access control, that is MAC address. Okay, so when packet arrives in a network, it is the responsibility of data link layer to transmit it to the host using its MAC address. Next is network layer, that is layer 3 of the OSI model. Network layer works for the transmission of data from one host to the other located in different networks. Okay, so data is transmitted from one device to other device, but they are in the different networks. It also takes care of packet routing, that is selection of the shortest path to transmit the packet from the number of routes available. Okay, it selects the shortest path to transmit the data, to transmit the packet, okay, from the number of routes that is available in the routing table. Okay, so network layer defines the logical address of each computer. What is logical address? It is IP address. I think you must have heard about IPv4 and IPv6. Okay, these are the logical address which are being defined by network layer. So each computer must have their IP address. The sender and receiver's IP address are placed in the header by the network layer. Okay. So network layer is responsible for routing the data from source to destination. Okay. And senders and receivers IP address are assigned. Next is transport layer. This is a layer 4. Transport layer provides services to application layer and takes services from network layer. The data in the transport layer is referred to as segments. I would like to tell you what is segmentation. Transport layer performs segmentation. In segmentation, data which is received is divided into segments. Means bigger data is divided into smaller parts or smaller segments. Okay, so everything is defined here, like the source address, the destination address and the port number. It is responsible for the end-to-end delivery of the complete message. The transport layer also provides the acknowledgement of the successful data transmission and retransmits the data if an error is found. Okay, I would like to tell you the protocols used at transport layer. These are very important protocols which are used for the communication purpose. So the protocols are TCP and UDP. TCP is transmission control protocol and UDP is user datagram protocol. So TCP is connection oriented, UDP is connectionless. In TCP, when the message is received by the receiver side, or you can say at the destination, we get the acknowledgement. that yes, the message is delivered. But in UDP, there is no such acknowledgement that if the message is delivered or not, or it is received at the receiver side or not. UDP is faster than TCP. I hope you understand now the difference between TCP protocol and UDP protocol. Session layer, that is layer 5. This layer is responsible for establishment of connection, maintenance of sessions, authentication, and also ensures security. So students, like if you arrange any party at your home, so you have to arrange everything. You have to get the help from helpers. Like you have to prepare a food, someone will prepare a food for your party, someone will do the cleaning and other works for the parties. Likewise, to communicate from one device to another device, session layer takes help of API. Okay? So API allows application on different computers to communicate with each other. The functions of the session layer are session establishment, maintenance, and termination. Next is synchronization and then dialog control. So in session layer, we do authentication and authorization. Like if you whenever you log in your computer, it asks for ID and password, and that ID and password is stored in some server. So when you enter your ID password, it is matched if it is correct or not, and then only you are able to log in your computer. So that is nothing but authentication. Session establishment, maintenance, and termination. This layer allows two processes to establish, use, and terminate a connection. Next is synchronization. This layer allows a process to add checkpoints which are considered as synchronization points into the data. These synchronization points help to identify the error so that the data is resynchronized properly and ends of the messages are not cut prematurely and data loss is avoided. So, why synchronization is used? To identify the error and to correct the error so that the data is not lost. There is no data loss. Dialog controller. The session layer allows two systems to start communication with each other in half duplex or full duplex. Next is presentation layer. Presentation layer is also called the translation layer. Okay, here the presentation layer receives data from application layer. This data is in the form of characters and numbers. This is then converted to machine understandable code. That is why it is also called the translation layer, because it converts the language which is received from the application layer to the machine understandable language. The data from the application layer is extracted here and manipulated as per the required format to transmit over the network. That is nothing but translation is performed here so that it is understandable by the other layers. The functions of the presentation layer are translation, encryption, decryption, and compression. So what is encryption decryption? To secure the data, encryption is done at sender side, and again when the message is received at the receiver side, the message is decrypted. So we get all the text as it is. The original text we get at receiver side. So the data is decrypted at the receiver side. Then compression. Now what is compression? Compression reduces the number of bits that are used to represent the original data. Okay? Data compression reduces space, thus data transmit can be done faster. Like if there is a file of 5 MB, then it is being reduced to 2 MB for faster communication. So I hope you understand all the three functions of presentation layer. Translation, for example, ASCII to EBCDIC. Next is encryption, decryption. Data encryption translates the data into another form or code. The encrypted data is known as the ciphertext and the decrypted data is known as plain text. A key value is used for encrypting as well as decrypting data. Compression reduces the number of bits that need to be transmitted on the network. Next is application layer. At the very top of the OSI reference model stack of layers, we find application layer, which is implemented by the network applications. Okay, what is application layer? Application that use internet such as Google Chrome, Firefox, Outlook, Skype. Okay, these are the applications over the application layer. These applications produce the data which has to be transferred over the network. Okay, this layer also serves as window for the application services to access the network and for displaying the received information to the user. Applications are browsers, Skype, Messenger, etc. So, I would like to tell you what protocols are used for web surfing. Like when you go to some websites, what protocols are being used for this functionality. So, HTTP and HTTPS is used for web surfing, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And other are also there like FTP, which is used for file transfer. Thank you. I hope you understand all the layers of the OSI model.